Welcome to the Lovecars on the Grid podcast, your global motorsport roundup with me, Tiff, Needell and Paul Woodman.
Welcome to Lovecars on the Grid, your global motorsport podcast roundup. Welcome to 2025. Happy New Year. This week we're in the desert. Well, I was in the desert. I just returned from the desert with Dakar. And we look forward to next week where Formula E in Mexico, and what else is coming up? Daytona and Monte Carlo later in the month. So we'll go through those. But in the news...
You're fresh back. Well, just the news is that Paul Woodman's fresh back. Have you still got sand in your socks and stuff?
There was a lot of sand. We'll come on to Dakar because I have got one little tiny bit of news, breaking news actually, that we announced this. I think we're probably the first people to announce this. But Tag Heuer have just confirmed what we suspected a few months ago, that they were going to be they're going to take over from Rolex on Formula One in terms of the sponsorship. So literally just announced.
Did they have in the past that Rolex took it off them? I've got a funny.
They have actually, yeah, you're right, Tiff. Good memory. So Tag have been a previous sponsor, and then Rolex, and then it's gone back to Tag. Reportedly, well, it's not reportedly because no one's reporting about it, but supposedly about $150 million deal, which is just bonkers, absolutely bonkers.
You've reported it, therefore it is now reportedly.
It's now reported, yeah, but I'm not going to reveal where my sources came from. So Dakar, yes, there was a lot of sand, but what an event. It's a crazy event. I mean, for those who don't know, Dakar started in 1979. I know this because I just did a piece to camera. 1979, it was after a cool French motorbike racer got lost in a race to Libya on the rally coat to coat a couple of years before, and he wanted to share his passion with the desert with everybody else. So he created the Dakar, Paris Dakar, as it was then.
Oh yeah,
yeah.
The Saudi to Saudi.
Yeah. Well, then in 2008 it stopped because there were security problems in Africa, North Africa, mainly Mauritania, wars and stuff. Then the next year went to South America for 10 years. A lot of people forget that.
Of course, I've forgotten that completely, yeah.
Pretty epic, you got the likes of Chile and stuff, but it wasn't really Dakar. And I do think, so since 2020, it's gone to Saudi Arabia, and clearly it went there because of money, but I do think it's perfectly suited because there's a lot of desert, there's a lot of sand, and a lot of variety.
So you've been there twice. You went with Audi. Now you've been with the new Ford Raptor team. What was the difference in their approach? Do you sort of feel Audi and Ford are spending equal money, and was it as big a bigger event as Audi were doing last year?
Oh, Ford are all in here. Absolutely. They want to they've gone for 4 cars. Audi went for 2. And they really want this too. They want to come away here with a win. Of course, Ford, it's their first proper year in Dakar, but they've got years and years of racing in the likes of the Baja 1000 and events like that. So they're no newcomers. But
you were there just for the build-up then? You didn't see the first stage?
We did see the prologue, actually. So prologue is just before the first stage where they sort of work out who's going where, but it's all a bit of sandbagging, excuse the pun, because a lot of the fast people don't want to finish first.
Did you get in the car?
I did get in a car, but I went in the Bronco DR, which is one of the Baja cars, and it was very, very cool. I didn't drive it, sadly, but I think it was better in a way to be you've been a passenger with Colin McRae, and I was a passenger with Brad Wilson. Like, I forgot his name then. He was, oh my goodness. Anyway, I'll come back to it. It was just a very cool American racer, and he did the car justice as well. So that was exceptional. The difference with Audi and Ford, I went at the end of Audi, and it was their first year, and they didn't have a good year. They had lots of breakdowns, so they weren't in it. I went at the beginning with Ford, but Ford are going in this 4 cars instead of 2, 4 exceptional drivers. And they're all going to, and they're in it as a team. They said they don't care who wins out of their 4 drivers as long as one of the 4 does. So they're helping each other. Already yesterday, Carlos Sainz rolled his car over.
We'll come to what happened so far.
Yeah. But the point is that he was helped out by his teammate.
Yeah. You were sleeping in a tent where you were. I saw on Instagram. Was that your comment? How many nights were you in the desert for?
Well, we have 1 night in the desert. That was enough because I like embracing these sort of things. And under the stars in the middle of the desert with no light pollution, wow, was really special. But unfortunately, they've had a lot of sandstorms, and there was a sandstorm until about 3 in the morning, and the tent I thought it was going to blow away. But it was good to embrace. It really was
cold. The competitors said they're freezing cold in some of these.
It wasn't as cold as a couple of years ago with Audi. A couple of years ago with Audi, it was really cold. But it's bobble hats and lots of people wearing gloves, and it's a big thick coat. But if same as anything, if you go to anything and you're aware of it or you're prepared for it, it's okay. You're dressed appropriately. But I got a bit of a sunburn on my nose. It was
Yeah, yeah.
23 degrees. There's a big old nose to get sunburn on. 23 degrees in the day, very sunny, beautiful weather.
I mean, you were there with Ford, then a little sort of a Ford press, enclave. But I mean, this event is huge. I mean, was everyone camped in the same area, or you taken to a sort of little Ford private zone in the desert, or you're aware of how big the event is?
Yeah, you are kind of aware, but most things center around the bivouac. So each time it's you move this every day or every couple of days, and it moves from one location to the other. And it's the exact same setup. So the same grid. You're on row 6A, and you go back to row 6A. So it's and you do see other people. I met some of the Dacia guests. Rob.
Is it Dacia or Dacia now? I don't know.
Dacia. I think you're right. I think it's Dacia. Now they're going all in as well. And it's very interesting when you talk to different people, because Ford, as I just alluded to, each driver's helping each other. So if they see a Ford car broken down and they're doing better, they'll help. But if they're doing worse than the car that's passing, they won't stop and help. So it's all very strategic. Now, Dacia, they've got a truck as well, because you're not allowed to help unless you're a fellow competitor.
Yeah.
So they've got a truck with mechanics allegedly in the race to help if there's a problem. So it's a lot more than just having a car in there and a team back at the bivouac.
I know the man in the truck because I've done some research. I know the name of that man because this incredible event. So I was looking at the interest list. It's 136 bikes, 200 cars, cars, trucks, plus classics and quad bikes. But I was just looking for British entries. Now we'll come to the fact that the two leading teams are both British based. We've got Pro Driver against Malcolm Wilson's M Sport in the forwards, Pro Driver doing the Dacias. But there's only 7 British competitors in vehicles or on bikes out of the 700. It's the 700 people competing. And it is a shame that, in the bikes, we've only got James Hillier, a rookie, done his first ride. We'll come to him later because he's already been in the television a lot. And then we've got Sam Sunderland, who's won the Dakar twice on a bike, but hasn't got a bike. And he's actually just the navigator for another bike runner, Toby Price, has also won it twice. There was a nice introduction on Eurosport. It's such a fantastic coverage.
Nice.
So, and they was asking, what are you doing in a car? And he said, well, I've done bikes all the years, and I didn't get my contract renewed. It's like an Aussie, just to be obvious. didn't pretend that he'd chosen to leave bikes. So you got Sam Sunderland, just a co-driver in a car, and that's it. Then we've got in those little buggy things, we've got 2 rookies in the buggies, William Butler and Richard Axel, who will cheer on. And then we've got a truck passenger, as you've mentioned. So the only other Brit is a truck passenger is Nicholas Jones, who is the Dacia technician, as you said. They have a truck chasing around with any problems. And then we've got 2 in the legends. We've got 2 more trucks. We've got John Cockburn, who actually drives his man truck. He's a legend. He's done it for 10 years. But those 7 names are the only Brits.
Wow.
Which is it's unbelievable. But as you said, you're with the Pro Driver running the Dacias and the Ford Raptors run by M Sport, Carlos Sainz and Matthias Ekstrom, Nanny Roma. And they got this American, Mitch Guthrie's joined the team.
They love him. They love Mitch, but what a lovely guy as well. He was
25-minute lead in those buggy things. I don't know what they call those buggy things. Polarises or something.
No, they're not. There's Polaris is a brand. It's a bit like saying you Xerox something instead of you photocopy it or you.
Yeah, they're one of them, but they're the most popular vehicle in
the ATMs or whatever they are. Yeah,
T3 challenges.
ATVs.
He was in a 25-minute lead on the last day and it broke down on him. So, yeah. And Dacia, of course, they got 3. They've actually got 3. They've got Nasser Al-Attiyah, of course, the legendary Qatarian, Sebastian Loeb, the French rally driver, and they've got Cristina Gutierrez, the Spanish lady. So they've got 3. And it is a big number. They're up against this mass rank of Toyotas. I didn't bother to count how many Toyota Hiluxes, because there must be about 20 in the sort of 40 car. It's called Ultimate, isn't it, that top class?
That's right.
And And in fact, it's the Toyota that are leading at the moment. Two of the Toyotas are out front. But it's hard to tell what the results are because we're now on what day?
Three?
Day 2.5 or 3.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Well, they started the first day. They've got this marathon stage, haven't they? Which made the stage 1 a bit weird on telly because nobody wanted to win it.
Yes.
Nobody wanted to lead out into this 48-hour, 2-day marathon where they've got limited access. They're out there now, still bouncing around the deserts. So everyone's backing off. People were parking up for 10 minutes just to finish 21st or 23rd because they didn't want to leave. But I mean, it's such a cruel rent. I mean, that day 1, we got one of the ladies out, Lina Sainz, rolled her weird vehicle. It's extreme. What's it called? I've got the name of it somewhere, but now I've forgotten. Didn't write it down. It's a challenge. It's a car that's not a manufacturer's name. But she rolled it. She had an awful day. Because she lost her navigation, she lost second gear, and then she was going to the dust, hit a rock and rolled over. And they actually kept going. They repaired it. And they have these cut-offs for if you don't get it, the day you're out. They got there 2 minutes before the cut-off.
Oh, gutter.
But they were still in. But then they got disqualified because their roll cage deformed by 2 millimeters.
No, what a gutter. Absolute gutter.
Normally, if you get there, you can then continue. You've lost a day, you get the penalty, don't you, for a day. But it's just a brutal thing. There's a biker, what's his name? I wrote it down Sebastian Buhler, one of the stars, German star, who just in a braking zone hit a rock because he showed it on the television with a picture of it in the middle of the sand, which is one lump. So obviously braking hard on the front wheel, he went over the handlebars. He already had a plate in on his broken collarbone, and he bent the plate. And he just began to, it hurts a little bit. Shame.
They're tough, aren't they? These guys are really tough.
2 out on day 1. Then day 2 we had Carlos Sainz rolling his Ford. And again, getting back in the race, only losing 30 minutes or 1 hour. As you said, Gutierrez, I think, came in and helped, didn't he? Because she was helping Loeb. Though no,
it's Mitch, his teammate, Mitch that helped, I'm sure.
Gutierrez helped out Loeb on day 2, because Loeb then had electronic failures. So, even the front runners, after all that testing and stuff, Loeb's fans started cutting up. He's got 3 fans cooling various bits of the car. They started stopping one by one. And his teammate Gutierrez came along to help. But Sainz has ended up rolling into the bottom of sandpits twice now. He did it last year, didn't he?
He did, yeah.
Was that an Audi, wasn't it?
Yeah. He still won it last year. And he's definitely not out of it this year. Far from it.
He left a lot of bodywork. I always thought you had to take all your bits with you. There was some rule you must.
You've got to take your wheels.
The wheels.
Yeah. So I asked that question before, actually, funny in the interview, because we had a chat with loads of really Dakar legends. Malcolm Wilson, you mentioned already. Yeah. Sends his regards, by the way. The Carlos Sainz, and then spoke about the car and various things as well. So it was quite fascinating. I'll tell you one of the most fascinating things, one of the spots that we had to watch the prologue. So the first couple of cars that came through, the bikes go on different, they'll cut through the rocks a different way, clearly, because they don't need to stay with the track. So they'll cut the corners if they can, an apex, for want of a better term. And the first couple of cars hit the apex perfectly, went round, and then they went through this narrow sort of rocky gorge place where we could get so close. And then one car must have outbraked themselves or done something, and it went so wide, like 50 feet wide and out of the apex. But because it then power slid all the way around, left these massive tracks, then every of the car that came round went on this track instead of going on the original track, getting the apex and then going have a nice corner, nice exit through the rocky bits. They're all going over these massive boulders following the tracks. Yeah. It's fascinating, really. And that's just one tiny bit of the whole thing.
Easy, Carlton Kirby doing his bicycle cover.
He's lovely.
He waffles away. He's beautiful. He's perfect.
Oh, he's lovely. Yeah.
But I mean, you're talking about how you have to only competitors can help you. Because I always think they don't explain it on the television. That is one motorbike guy that he's just fallen over, and it was just caught in a rut behind one of these thorn bushes that they're going around. They're all ripping their shoulders on these thorn bushes that like daggers. But the guy's filming this bloke, exhausted, and he's trying to lift it out. And then he went into the road and tried to slow bikers down. The 3 of them actually wouldn't stop for him and sort of rode by him. He's in the middle of the track, and his bike's there. They're filming this close up. And eventually one biker did stop and helped him pull his bike back on the track. But the exhaustion then, and we saw this film of, James Hillier, our British biker, who did the same as the German guy. He hit a rock hidden in the sand. Because I think once all the cars go over, they dig a bit of the sand off the surface. And if there's a rock just underneath, and you're not in a nice soft valley of sand, he went over the handlebars, smashed his nose. There was a film of another competitor
I saw it.
You can't continue. No, mate, you can't. No, mate, you can't continue. We didn't say it like that because he was a foreign gentleman.
So typically you would agree your strategy before with your co-driver or your team, and you would say, are we going to stop and help anyone? And what we said when I did this Iceland rally raid with Defender earlier last year, I said to my co-driver, we'll stop, make sure they're okay, but if we're competitive, which we were in the end, we ended up with a third place, we're not going to help to change a wheel or something, because what's the point? Just to change a tyre.
They do give time back, don't they, in the Dakar on certain occasions.
Okay. There's some lovely stories over the years, but not that I've got any. Lovely stories over the years of where competitors do help and they forfeit a podium to help somebody, which, good for them. The spirit of Dakar is amazing. Absolutely amazing.
James Hillier, he was going to be helicoptered back to base camp to have his nose stitched up, but apparently he's going to be able to resume. So I don't know, do they helicopter him back or do they take his bike with him? I don't know how they get back to their bike.
Well, they have
sweeper picking bikes up. Yeah,
no, not helicopters. They've got big trucks at the end that pick up all the bits and the bikes and cars that are broken down. So they're not participants. They are part of the group. It's just incredible. I bumped into some friends who are doing it over there. Some Italian lads. It's an amazing experience.
Brits, we know British drivers out there. Who have we got? When Elfyn Evans fails to win a World Rally Championship again, he should maybe go to it.
How many people did the first Paris-Dakar in 1979 or whenever it was? How many people do you think? Total competitors?
No idea.
182.
Well, still a lot for a first.
182 vehicles, so not people. So it would be more
cars. Yeah, vehicles. That include bikes.
Yeah, bikes, trucks, quads. But
you feel so these people going out early after all that effort. But at the moment, the latest, it's hard to find out who's leading or what at the moment because they're in the middle of this 48-hour stage. But it's two Toyotas out front, the South African Henkel Latigan and Yassid Al Raji from Saudi. They're leading. So the Toyotas, they're numbers in force. And Al Attiyah's third. The first, Dacia are leading the big competition at the moment. And fourth is Sam Sutherland with Toby Price driving him. And they're a private Toyota. So Toyotas are 1, 2 and 4. And these two biker boys having a laugh together. Toby Price with the most strangly sweaty hair any man's ever had on his head. And it seems to be his style. A fourth. Matthias Ekstrom is fifth. The first Ford is fifth and Loeb sixth. See, Loeb's still sixth despite all that problems. But having to have a teammate.
It's too early to even worry about it. I think it's too early, unless you're a day behind or whatever. It's too early to even worry about it. He was nice. Matthias had a chat with him because, of course, he was Audi a couple of years ago. We did an interview with him a couple of years ago, and I got the inside track from Carlos on Carlos Jr., but I'm not allowed to share it. So what happened and why he's gone to Williams and
things like that.
Of course, we did. We had dinner together. It was lovely. It was.
Can't tease us with that. All this,
I'll say it in a couple of weeks and say, I can't reveal my source. And then hopefully people won't remember that this conversation.
By Ferrari, you mean?
Yeah, just what happened and why he didn't go to Mercedes, which was the obvious choice.
The obvious one, wasn't it? Really, for big money, long contracts, but with the connection, of course, with Dad had with Audi. Audi was where we thought he would go. And yeah, but Williams is Daddy think Williams isn't going to work out? Then you can't tell.
No comment. And Audi aren't quite ready. I think everybody agrees with that. They're not quite ready, but they will be.
Well, it's going to be a Sauber for another year, isn't it? So it's not really good.
2026. We'll see what happens there. But amazing event, and there's mixed
off to anybody doing that, especially that with the bikers. There's another class for the amateur bikers. They literally have two little boxes and themselves have to all their own mechanical work, all their own navigating, and they come in 6 or 7 hours, behind the sort of sponsored professional bike riders. I mean, those are the ones that I really like. This guy that was filmed, with his bike just exhausted, just couldn't get it back onto the track. And the cameraman just there, who's not allowed to help him, filming away.
It's the same with the teams as well. The teams, so they got these 40-foot Arctics in the desert. And then on top of these 40-foot Arctics, we know how big racing trucks are. They've got banks of, you've seen a roof box tent on a car or a SUV. Yeah. They've got them all the way across the top of the Arctic. So all the team stay up in those things. So you're high up anyway. And then you're in this tent, and there were loads of sandstorms. Every night there were really bad sandstorms. But so they've had that. But
make sure you're
women. Sorry, men, women. The team was fantastic. The full team. I've got to say, I've been around quite a few motorsport teams. What a brilliant team! You had US guys, UK guys, Malcolm Wilson's guys. You had lots of different teams, and they all were so hospitable. They were all so kind. They're really, but they gelled together. You can tell as a team they really worked together. So, and if that's anything to go by, that's a good indication to where they're going, I think, or what's going to happen.
But good omen. Stand in your sandwiches. That's why I won't go. Anyway, make sure you all find Eurosport or whatever other method and listen to Carlton Kirby's the entertainment, the drama of the next 10 days. 10 days still to go. It doesn't finish till the 17th or something.
They have a couple of days break, I think, don't they? But it's pretty much 2 weeks solid and 6,000 odd miles.
And 17th of January ends.
And if you wonder why I went there, by the way, we are filming. We filmed pretty much all of it, other than one more item. A 1 hour motorsport special for Amazon Prime. So that's coming probably end of March. But realistically, I think it'd be
Formula car. Me in a Super Formula car.
Yeah, that was good. Fair play to you, Tiff. You did really well in that. Super Formulas is just behind Formula One. It's the second fastest Formula is. So looking forward to sharing that with you all.
Didn't last.
Anyway, what else?
Well, we've got Mexico. You're going to Mexico as well, you global man. So the Formula E's. Mexico is actually one of the best tracks because it's got a long straight with a proper overtaking at the end. It's a bit twiddly. Well, the Grand Prix circuit is a bit twiddly-fiddly in the middle to the stadium. So it's really all about this new attack mode power as to how the team's going to adapt. Because they're all shocked, I think, as how effective it was in round one with people just sprinting past 4 or 5 cars in one lap once they'd taken the attack mode. So the attack mode is finally attacking. And the question is it too strong and is it looking a bit stupid when they just drive past 3 or 4 or 5 cars? So that'll be something to watch out for. Who knows who's going to win? It's always a lottery who's going to win. It seems whose computer gets the fuel economy. Sorry, fuel economy. What is fuel? I mean, electric thing, amps are fuel. Is their fuel? The range economy. So yeah, it'll be a good trip. I'm sure you'll enjoy it. And Jaguar, of course, are out front. Who won the first round, though? It's Jaguar, yeah.
Jaguar, yeah.
Last on the grid to win. So
21st to first, Mitch Evans.
So that's then a week after that, we start the Daytona 24 hours, which it's the test day, which is always because I think they have pole position. They used to have the pole position shoot up, I'm not sure they do, on the 19th of January. And then, of course, the weekend is the 25th, 26th, where John Hindhoff and Jeremy Shaw will doubtless be filling 24 hours of wonderful commentary. Again, a bit, like I mentioned thinking earlier.
Carlton Kirby.
These two shoot NASCAR so well because they've got so much knowledge and they talk away for 24 hours. There's about 60 car entry, 12 GTPs, which are the top class, like the Le Mans cars, 12 LMP2s. And there's people like Felipe Massa, and Callum Ilott from Britain in LMP2s. There's names throughout the whole grid. IndyCar drivers do it because you've got Scott Dixon and Felix Rosenquist did it. And it's just so good to have the Brit Nick Tandy's in a Porsche. We've got Will Stevens, Jack Aitken, Alex Lindell in Chevrolets. Sorry, Cadillacs, call them Chevrolets. Felipe Drugovich, much forgotten Formula 2 champion. At least he's got a proper drive. So great weekend. It's a bit like, it's a bit of a marathon. But it's wonderful to watch that 24 hours of Daytona. And I still remember fondly going round the banking at 200 miles an hour.
How mmany times have you done it?
About 5 times, 6 times.
Obviously, always in the top class.
Ed in a Porsche, always in the top class. I wouldn't like to be in mirrors watching. Because that's the trouble with Daytona. There's 36 GT cars, of which 22 are amateurs. There's 14 GT pros, GTD they call them. But of course, they have these huge pace cars all the time. So you always end up, even in the last hour, there's usually a pack of 6 GTDs all on the same lap, all going for the last 3 laps to win. So the pace cars out there, they do bunch them back up again. So it's very hard to get a big lead or even get a lead of the lap.
Is Ryan Cullen on the list? Is he going to be racing?
I didn't look. I saw the whole list, but he's still out there. But he was
have a look at
WEC more, wasn't he? Otherwise, doing Because LMP2, of course, what Jamie Chadwick's doing next year, but that's in the World Endurance Championship and not in the IMSA. So what else we got? Well, then the World Rally Championship, the Monte Carlo Rally. When's that from? That begins
end of Jan.
It's the end of Jan, the last week of Jan. So it's the same weekend as the Daytona and Formula E race. So it's a great weekend of getting back, watching telly on motorsport. And the Monte Carlo Rally, again, always get excited with a rally when a season starts, the Monte. New drivers in new seats. They've entered 5 Toyotas for Monte Carlo. Normally it's sort of 3. You only have 3 nominated as manufacturers' point scorers, or 3, I think. Because Corin Elfyn Evans, who should have won it last year because that was the year without the superstars, became second again. I think it's about 5 years in the Troy. Elfyn's been second. But he's got Kalle Rovanperä back full-time against him in the Toyota team. The other full-time Toyota is Takamoto Katsuta, the Japanese guy again. Sebastian Ogier doing another part season, but in for Monte Carlo Rally Tool, of course. And then they got their Finnish driver, Sami Pajari, this young Finn that they trialled a couple of rallies. He's in doing the Monte Carlo. He's doing part-time as well. Hyundai, of course, have got Neuville and Tanak. Neuville, the new champion. They pinched the Ford man. For the first time this year, they've got 3 full-time Hyundai. They used to change the third car every rally almost last year. But Adrian Formeau, the French guy, has gone from Ford to there. Ford have...
He's knocking on, isn't he, Adrian Formeau?
I don't know, they've been around for... I don't think he's that... No, I think it's sort of 28, 25. I don't think he's that... he's been around.
Okay.
But his Ford teammate stays on from Luxembourg, Gregoire Munster, who was sort of getting quicker towards the end, but not really a star out front. But the real story for Britain... Actually, it's not Britain, because he's Irish, so I mustn't say that. I always feel all of Ireland's part of us, really, in terms of motorsport. Yeah. But this young Irish kid, Josh McClellan. If I say it in Irish, I can probably pronounce it. McClellan. Only 25 years old. He had a couple of years. He came second in Portugal in the WRC2 car. He's sponsored by, it's like Ireland. I've got the word down there, but their academy, the Irish Rally Academy. So he's been sponsored by them in his career. So it's really good to see Ireland supporting, young rally stars and give them some money. But he's in full time in the number 2 Ford, so it's a real baptism of fire for him to go from a WRC2 car. I think he's done the Monte in a lower class car. So really, that's a fantastic story for Ford in the World Rally Championship.
Adrian Formeau will be 30 in May this year, so it feels like he's been around forever.
Well, he hasn't. So I don't know what the telly's going to be with the Monte Carlo Rally, how much you're going to get. It's such a hard sport to film live. Well, same as the Dakar. It's much better to watch these wonderful 1-hour shows in the evening where it's all. And it's the same with rallying. They do rallying live. You can log on, you can pay a subscription to World Rally and choose which car you can go in for every stage. But they're almost quite monotonous, aren't they, when they go to the same corner, same cameraman round the corner, off they go. And of course, it's only the clock that decides who's leading, so you don't really know who's winning. But
spectacular shots. You would think they could make World Rally and Dakar and all these things visually, because the shots are just spectacular. Power sliding around a corner, big rooster tail of grit or gravel or ice or snow, whatever it may be. But it's just to watch it. But I think I'm with you there. The 1-hour wrap-ups are good. You know what's going on. You know where the key people are. But you got to be...
About 10 years ago, I told North One Television, when they were Christmas, who had the World Rally Championship, of one way to make it better for the amateur viewer, right? At the end of each day, on a nice little graph, pictures of little cars, you'd have the leader and the order of the other cars, right? So that was the position. And the time gap would be to scale, so you can see them a long way behind. Then you summarise the end of the day, but they'd all move into their new positions, sort of thing, overtaking, and then so you'd sort of see it happening. You could almost do the same in the Dakar, because when they're half an hour behind, they catch up 20 minutes. You want a more visual And you can do that with computers so easily now.
Easy.
I know.
The stats are great, and they don't have to be on the screen the whole time. It's like darts, where you have the average comes up of the set or the match. It's really good to see that sort of thing. What's going on?
One at a time. If you had yesterday's results, then you're just talking about one driver. This moved him up into the lead. It needs something more visual to show it instead of just a time. All you ever get is time gaps. You can't see a time gap. So this is my brilliant idea I had about 10 or 15 years ago. It was rejected then. But like all my good ideas, you know I'm right, Paul, don't you?
Yeah, of course. You're always right, Tiff. Before we go, do you want to talk us through Southampton and the football for those that are still here?
No.
Banging result on the weekend.
No. Just no.
It's only 5-0, wasn't it? You lost?
Red and white, red and white. Red Army, red Army.
See you next week. More Dakar.
Make sure you watch Dakar. It's great entertainment on telly for the next 2 weeks. Cheers.
See you, bye.